This Dynasty and New York Jets team preview edition of the Stephie Smalls Show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Get up to a $1,000 deposit match when you sign up at underdogfantasy.com, promo code SMALLS. Also, listen to every podcast episode on this network for free just by subscribing to the SGPN feed. Get it wherever you get your podcasts.
Are you ready?
I don't know. Are we lagging? I hope we're not lagging. Hello. Welcome back into the Stephie Smalls Show. I am your host, Stephie Smalls. This is the first July episode. It's July 2nd already. I'm not quite sure how. For the first segment, we have my dear friend and great Dynasty mind, Jeff Bell, on to pick his brain on Dynasty, maybe some sleepers, rookies, get to some listener questions. And then friend of the show, we all love our Scott Reichel, is going to join me. I said we were going to do some of these team previews a little ass backwards. So today we're doing the New York Jets. But first up, it's been quite a bit. I don't think he's been on since we joined the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, is Jeff Bell, Dynasty captain at Footballguys, for whom J Bell tolls. How's it going?
Fantastic. We were talking before the show about how the weather's been nice, so that's been good. And we're gearing up for football, and I keep seeing the 10 more Sundays till football. Now I think we're at 9 more Sundays till football, so it's a good part of the year.
Yeah, and you never want to rush summer away, but it is very exciting anticipating the new, the new football season. I think the only news that has came out a little bit surprising, and I haven't been able to talk about it quite yet, is Mr. Darren Waller. I believe now rapper, retired tight end from the NFL. He is coming back. This is wasted fab, correct? Or is this not? What are you telling people that ask you about Mr. Darren Waller?
I don't think it's wasted fab.
Okay.
I mean, I certainly understand when he came to the Giants, there was high expectations and he profiled potentially as the number one receiver there, and he fell flat on his face. But we saw last year, my question is are the Dolphins more comfortable with Tua Tagovailoa holding onto the ball more to be able to push it vertically to these great receivers? Or is it going to be like last year where, and now losing Terrion Armstead at left tackle, are they going to get the ball out? I know last year Tua's pocket time was the lowest in the league. They were getting the ball out. So obviously the opening for a slot receiver there in that offense, Washington, the young kid, he might have a chance to take that, or Nick Westbrook-Ikine coming in, maybe. But I think Waller profiles pretty well there. And it's important to think, too, the offensive coordinator for the Dolphins was his position coach when he was with the Raiders.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see how he, it may not have ended as well as we wanted and gone as well as we wanted with him on the Giants, but it should be interesting, especially with Jonnu no longer being there. What does your Dynasty off-season, preseason look like as far as managing your own leagues? Is there one thing you're constantly doing, or how are you going through, who are you trading sort of thing? What does that look like?
So heading into the offseason, really kind of the end of the season, if I'm not going to be in the championship, then I'm trying to offload maybe some veterans to, if there's no trade deadline, to those teams that might be in the championship to set up. And then throughout the season, I always like to look ahead and see where the free agents are going to be, who's got expiring contracts, because I want to grab those players that could step into that situational value or those little pockets of value during free agency, and then maybe flip some of those guys off. Really heading into my rookie drafts, I'm looking to clear up space at the end of my bench and consolidate my rosters to be able to add those rookies onto my rosters. But I also hammer the post rookie draft run pretty hard, because that's the best free agency run in Dynasty that you're going to get. You get a handful of players that you might see be the 402 in one league, they go undrafted in another league, and you can add them just for fab. So I kind of go crazy on those because a couple of those work out for you. I've seen Trevor Etienne not drafted in some leagues, and that's a mid to high 4th round pick that was used on him. So really kind of just consolidating, paring down, and then trying to add those young players, and then through the summer, hope they get some buzz and maybe pivot and kind
flip
of
off.
Nowadays, I'm in too many leagues, and tax season is craziness. So that's what my real life looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Travis Etienne's a good one too, and We see this every fantasy year. There are these guys that pop on the scene towards the playoffs, and they end up being kind of these dynasty loves. Is there any, another player outside of, Travis Etienne that you just mentioned that comes to mind of these guys that maybe didn't get drafted that people should target?
Trevor Etienne, not Travis.
Trevor, yeah, there we go.
The little bro. I think just kind of looking like Elijah Arroyo was a guy that was really late. That was like, it felt like he was way behind the other rookie tight ends for no real reason. When the draft, he still went round 2. And so kind of looking for values like that, and then just really loading up for as many rookie running backs as I can. I don't really like to take shots on the receivers because that can be, I don't know, I think it can be a little bit of a waste. Whereas we've seen these running backs that the injuries allow it, you step into the opportunity and all of a sudden you've got a player that you can plug into your lineup.
Right. Yeah. I want to talk about, let's just call them interesting quarterback rooms. I'm not going to offend any. We're just going to leave them at interesting quarterback rooms. And what the best case scenario is for fantasy before we kind of dive into some of these rookies. So I think the Saints probably stand out. You have Tyler Shuck, seeing a lot of buzz about Spencer Rattler. I think we saw Spencer Rattler last year. So I don't know that I'm going to jump back on that train by any means. And I think Hayner is over there still as well as their QB3. Is best case scenario a Tyler Shuck?
Yeah, I think it is Tyler Shuck, and you see Kellen Moore come in there. We know he had Dak Prescott, he had Justin Herbert. So I think that there are more similarities with Tyler Shuck to especially like a Justin Herbert. And that's natural. I mean, the Oregon connection, he was his backup at Oregon. So I think that the athleticism for Shuck, and then also the big play threats that the Saints have, I'm cautiously optimistic maybe that there might be some fantasy utility if some of that athleticism translates to the rushing game a little bit.
Yeah, and in Dynasty, Tyler Shuck, I feel like I have been still taking a little bit of a stab at him, depending where he is going in some of these rookie drafts. I know he's old, and that's going to deteriorate people away from wanting to take him. But if there's no one else I want to take, and he's sitting there, years out of him. But I still find.
Yeah, and it really comes down to if he's going to be like that early third, I feel like is the pocket where you're hoping to see him there. If he's there in the early third, but I do think that we saw Will Levis, Davis Mills way back when. If there's any positive at all, I think it's best to spin off these guys and move on because we see the lower draft capital. He's not a first round pick, and the Saints could be terrible and get Arch Manning, and all of a sudden Tyler Shuck is done. So I do feel like more often than not, because you think the last off season, I just aggressively traded Will Levis everywhere I had him. I was able to get first round picks for him. And then they are terrible and they get Cam Ward, and your Will Levis stock is completely done. I'm very, sure, you might get the Jalen Hurts and maybe that does burn you, but for the most part, look through the league. Like most of these quarterbacks are first round picks. Yeah,
absolutely. We move on to my New York Football Giants. Got Russell Wilson, got Jameis Winston, have Jackson Dart, who I have seen. I don't know if he's getting necessary. I don't want to use the word respected, but I'm seeing people fall off of him maybe a little bit more than they should for where he is going. Talking about this quarterback room, what the best case is for fantasy. Are we stashing Jackson Dart? Like, is there a chance, though, that he comes in and has value a little bit sooner than people think? I think he's a little bit more mobile than people remember as well. Where are you at with this quarterback room?
Well, I definitely like the rookie of the year odds, offensive rookie of the year odds for Jackson Dart, because like plus 3,500 is where I got it a couple of weeks ago. And so that's fun because we know how quarterbacks tend to work out in that award. And if he really just kind of plays, stays upright, and gets the ball to Malik Neighbors, there could be an argument there for him there. I'm optimistic from what we've heard so far out of Giants camp, because one would think that if it's even close at all, you would want to get him in there sooner rather than later. I mean, obviously you're a Giants fan, you know what their schedule looks like, and
it's so bad.
Brutal. It's really bad.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Well, and ideally for a rookie, like you're looking through that schedule, and what I like to see is like a home game after a bye week with like an easy opponent. And I look through the Giants schedule and you don't have any of that. You don't have like any natural landing spot, but they have to know that. And so maybe they just throw him in there early. So I kind of wonder about that. I think he's going to play probably earlier than maybe people realize. And part of that is because Russell Wilson was horrible at the end of last year. And I don't know what is there.
I know. I don't, and I have this whole, I've seen the script thing that I keep saying, and I see Russell kind of, faking an injury after getting his butt kicked in Denver. Maybe we see Jameis until the Giants kind of can't take it anymore. And then you see Dart come in and, maybe save the day. Maybe it's a small enough sample size. It saves Dable his job, but you get enough out of Dart. Even in fantasy, that's when guys start going down quarterback wise too. So he's kind of a nice stash where, you end up having to stick some of these guys in. Moving over to the Browns, Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, Sanders. I don't know what to make of this, to be honest. I think best case scenario is obviously we see Flacco, but you have to wonder how long that's going to, how long we can keep up with that. Is it sustainable?
Yeah, I would think so as well. I think best case scenario for fantasy aspects for Browns football watchability would be Flacco. Part of me wonders if I don't know. It really feels like they are trying very hard to position Kenny Pickett for. We've seen Kenny Pickett traded twice already over the last couple of years. See, teams keep trading for him. So maybe it's the thought process of they obviously added him before the draft. Now they took 2 quarterbacks in the draft. If they're able to trade Pickett in the summer, start the season with Flacco, go with whatever rookie's best. But the Browns, the reporting is an absolute mess. It seems like every beat reporter is carrying water for a different camp, essentially.
Yeah.
And you just get like one story is Joe Flacco looks the best. Another story is they're not even giving Joe Flacco reps. And it's just like, okay.
Yeah, right. I think the last one here is the Colts. You have Anthony Richardson, you have Daniel Jones. Again, probably both stayaways for me. They might be a little bit of fun darts at the end of best ball, but otherwise, I've watched the Daniel Jones thing. Like although I like the situation, I like the idea of it. I'm personally not doing it. I'm traumatized.
Well, so I've referred to them as hot dog quarterbacks, and it's the 4th of July here, so we know that Daniel Jones has given us fantasy points before. You just don't want to watch it happen. It's one of those you don't want to check your score. You don't want to see the actual game. You just want to log in afterwards and see that he got you 17 points, and like, okay, we don't need to know how it happened, but it got there at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we move on to some of these rookies, I'm talking about Underdog. Underdog Best Ball Mania is happening all summer long, giving away $15 million in prizes, including $2 million to the first place. No waiver wire, no arguments about trades. Best Ball is the best way to play fantasy football. Underdog is also a great place to play pick'em. You guys know this is how I've been sneaking in golf lately. So I have a pick'em entry for you for mañana. Nick Dunlap, lower 4.5 birdies or better. If you haven't seen my tweets, for lack of a better term, he stinks. Jason Day, higher 13.5 greens in regulation. And Eric Cole, quietly been playing some very nice round 1 golf, lower 68.5 round strokes. That is going to get you 6.82x your money. So sign up with Smalls to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. Underdogfantasy.com, promo code Smalls. We're brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the MLB, WNBA, golf, and of course, football futures. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations, easy deposit, and lightning fast payouts. Here I go again, sticking in golf wherever I can. I talked to you guys about the winner's house at the John Deere Classic. The winner has come out of this house of guys that stay here for 3 straight years. So we are sticking here. I am taking Chris Kirk 33-1 out of the winner's house. He just had a lovely week, although he probably doesn't think it's lovely, but he did lose in a 3-man playoff. 33-1 is a great number there, especially when you're getting numbers like plus 1350 on Ben Griffin. Head to mybookie.ag, promo code Smalls for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. And now on to some Dynasty rookies. I'm going to give you 2 of these guys. You let me know which one you are taking. First up is going to be Hampton with the Chargers or Henderson, New England. Bless ya.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm gonna
Allergies.
go with Yeah, no, I had something in my throat. I'm going to go with Hampton, to be honest. I think that
Okay.
Hampton, and really the argument, I think to take Hampton, you're waiting to see if Najee Harris misses time. And if Najee Harris misses time, then I think Hampton is almost locking in as a top 5, definitely top 10 running back. Whereas I do think that if Ramondre were to miss time, like they're still going to split it up. Like Antonio Gibson's going to play. Like Henderson, I can see Henderson pulling ahead there. But at the same time, the way, I guess maybe I'm viewing it a little bit as the Patriots coaching staffs being a little bit more traditional in a sense. And they're actually, Josh McDaniels got decent football from Ramondre Stevenson. So I do, like, if there's one person that believes in Ramondre still, it might be Josh McDaniels. And so that's where I think that Hampton, just the ceiling, should opportunity present itself, is higher.
Yeah, I need to relax with my obsession with Henderson. Like I can't.
I love Henderson. No,
okay.
It's good. But like I want to see the James White plus role, and I don't know that they all go all the way there his rookie year.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 more here, and I'm excited because I've heard you on some podcasts talk about one of these players, and that's Travis Hunter. It's Travis Hunter or McMillan. Which do you lean one way or the other? That's a hard one, I think, for some people.
I lean McMillan because I can see McMillan being the number 1 receiver there. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is the number 1 receiver for the Jaguars. And so my expectation is for Travis Hunter to kind of work him in there, definitely be playing full-time receiver, but also maybe playing some corner as well. And whereas I think the Panthers need McMillan to be that primary receiver. And we know, you flashback a couple years ago to Adam Thielen, what can happen for the primary receiver for Bryce Young. He can really lock on there. So I think that McMillan naturally has a higher upside than Hunter.
What would you tell people that are nervous about BTJ's production when it comes to Travis Hunter stepping in? Because I have a hard time finding ways to say that it's going to impact it the way that people are scared a little bit.
I think my 3-year-old would say it's pretty good. So he's very good at football and he's very fast. And I don't think that there's any reason to have major concerns at all. And really, the reality is having another good receiver is a good thing, not a bad thing, because there's more than enough targets to go around. There's not really, I mean, Diami Brown, I guess, is the wide receiver. There's not really a comfortable third target. You can hyper target the 2 of these guys. We saw Liam Cohen's offense with Chris Godwin, with Mike Evans got there towards the end of the year, but I definitely think that there is plenty of ball to go around for Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter.
Are you loving on Bretton Strange the way the world is?
Well, I love the price I got on Bretton Strange because I grabbed him last summer before, again, it's one of those playing the Dynasty game, looking ahead. And I remember talking mid-season about Evan Ingram having that big balloon on the back of his contract. And it was like, they're going to have to extend him or cut him. And they used a 2nd-round pick on Bretton Strange. And so I had stashed Strange everywhere. And so I definitely love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, next up here is going to be Judkins in Cleveland, and then Caleb Johnson over there in Pitt. People, and we've talked about this ad nauseum. I am not a Jaylen Warren person the way that maybe the world is. I love that for everyone. That is not the journey I have chosen. I don't get it. Where are you going with these 2?
Judkins, because I just think he's a better football player. And, maybe it's me being an Ohio State homer. I don't know, but I think he's better. And I understand if you think the Steelers offense is going to be better. I worry what kind of, I guess for both of them, what kind of passing role is going to be there. I do think that Jaylen Warren's going to play. I hear you not loving him, but at the same time, he's going to play.
Yeah, he is. I know he is. Let's go Warren or Loveland.
Give me Warren mainly because the Loveland, we've seen him miss time. He hasn't been up to speed. So I think that's a concern to start off. But I don't know. I think that are the Colts receivers good? That's
where I'm at. And also there's this piece of this that I cannot stop thinking about with, like, you have Steichen and Goddard and the role that Warren is going to step into. And then A.D. Mitchell, okay. I'm not okay.
It's Josh Downs day, like every other day on social media.
I'm so excited that I rostered any of these guys.
Right. Right. And that's where I guess I look at the Colts and I have genuine questions about how good their receivers actually are. Is this the type of thing of if one of these guys are playing next to Jamar Chase, does anybody care at all about Josh Downs or even Michael Pittman Jr.? And that's where I see opportunity for Tyler Warren to come in and be the primary target.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's go Jaden Higgins with Houston or Kyle Williams. I know Williams is going about a round later than Higgins. Does that mean anything to you, or are you still on the Higgins train?
I'm going to take Higgins just because if you're going to play the upside scenario that Higgins locks down that wide receiver 2 role in Houston opposite Nico Collins with CJ Stroud, I do think that New England is going to be pretty messy with their receivers because it's one of those, they have like 12 different receivers that you can make the argument that they're NFL caliber receivers. I think they're going to rotate those guys. And so that's where I could see Higgins best case upside scenario is he locks on the wide receiver 2 and is almost like a light version of Cooper Kupp next to the Puka Nacua with Nick Caley's offense coming over from the Rams, the Puka Nacua type role that Nico Collins might play.
Love it. Okay, let's go tight ends here. And here's one that I haven't. It's funny. I almost asked you about him yesterday, but then I knew you were coming on the show. So I don't know that we've gotten a chance to yap about it yet. Terrence Ferguson or Mr. Mason Taylor, who I am starting to be a fan of here.
I'm definitely Mason Taylor there.
Yeah.
Bloodlines get me. I mean, higher draft capital between the two of them. I think it's make the argument they'd be the number 2 target for the Jets.
Right.
And so you definitely want to go with there. I think he's going to be developed. I mean, he's been one of these guys has been around the NFL for his entire life. Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to be playing in the SEC, ready to step up and go in there.
Yeah, you think about what Fields did with Kmet, that probably goes a little bit under the radar too. I don't know. I like Mason Taylor. I think he's an athletic dude that's walking into a nice situation. And I like these guys where you don't know who's getting the second most targets. Okay, well, he has a chance to do it then.
I feel like I never really get a chance to like talk the way I feel about Ferguson because Dave is such a massive Ferguson wonk. So when we're doing a show together, like I don't want to hurt his feelings. But when you look at if everybody's pointing to like most yak, these types of things, it's because defenses just forgot about him. They have Evan Stewart, they had Trayshawn Holden, they had these receivers pushing downfield in an Oregon offense that was very explosive, and then they would just forget about Ferguson. They would dump it down to him and he'd run for 8 yards before anybody was around him. So of course he's got great yak because they're throwing him low ADOT targets after the wide receivers have cleared space.
Everyone is probably so tired of me talking about Mason Taylor because I bring him up like twice a show and I need to stop. I will try. We'll put myself in like timeout on Mason Taylor talk, but I'm just very excited about him. Last one here is going to be Dylan Sampson or DJ Giddens.
I mean, Giddens, because the potential you're looking at if Jonathan Taylor goes down, he has potential to grab that backfield and run with it. I don't know if Dylan Sampson's going to play very much because I think that he's going to be buried behind Jerome Ford. I think that in a vacuum, full on talent, I'm probably going to go Dylan Sampson, but I do expect Jerome Ford to have his role and Quinshon Judkins to have his role. And basically you need even if you get the injury, you're still looking at a split backfield. Whereas if you get the Jonathan Taylor injury, you can at least tell yourself maybe DJ Giddens just gets the entire job.
That's a good point, David. I do have the Jets preview after this, so we will save the Mason Taylor. I like that though. I think Dylan Sampson. I know people were high on him in the draft process, but and I wasn't a fan of Giddens, and I think me, you and Dave talked about him one night, and then I went back and kind of watched, and I was like, okay, maybe I was a little bit too harsh on him when I was going into it.
He's an explosive player.
And that happened. So I'm going to give you like 3 questions I asked the listeners, and then I'll let you get out of here. Well, I'll leave this one for the end because Dave asked what you're doing tonight at 9 p.m. I'll just let everyone know what you're doing at 9 p.m. tonight.
I'm recording a show with Dave. So,
okay, great. So you guys can go check that out. Here's your free plug, Dave. Okay. Next one here. If you were in a Dynasty league, who are you picking first?
Who am I picking first? Superflex?
Let's call it Superflex.
I'm going to take Jaden Daniels first
right.
in the Dynasty League. I don't know. There's a weird thing where people don't take quarterbacks early, but I'd still take Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. Absolutely. Where's the cutoff with when you're in a dynasty league? Like, is there a tier break for you with quarterbacks where you're like, okay, I can wait a little bit now?
I like to have two
Yeah.
before like round 4. I'm really militant on that. So I mean, like maybe like the Trevor Lawrence type
Yeah.
tier, like once kind of he's off the board, the Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Loves of the world.
Yeah. All right. What players had a big season last year, but we should look to avoid this season? It could just be one player. You don't need to rattle off a million.
I'll just lean into, since it's your show, I'll just say Saquon Barkley. Even,
Okay, thank
even
you.
Magic and all
That's very
that.
sweet.
I
I agree
I
with
know
you,
where
though.
you
It's
are.
a lot of touches. It's a lot of
Yeah.
touches. That's all I'm saying. It's a lot of touches. Who are some under the radar players that you should draft this year with the intention to keep and be good in the future? I guess that's the goal with everyone. But
Keep in Isaiah Nayor. I think that he's a very explosive player for the 49ers. I know my Thursday night live Audible co-host Matt Waldman has been banging that drum for a little bit. I would have said Kyle Williams, but he got to be the new hotness. Like he was my guy early, and
I know
he was not on anybody's radar. And then it just like got unfun when
it's so icky.
too. But yeah,
Everyone ruins
know.
everything.
It's like bands. Like, I don't know. I'm the indie band, and then they get big, and you're just like, no, I liked them before.
I'm not having fun anymore. Yeah. All right. We'll do one last one. I lied to you. Who is a player you are much higher on this year than you were last year? That's a good one.
Coming into the year, it's Puka Nacua is a big one. I was doing the Rams training camp reports for Football Guys, and everything was about Cooper Kupp. And then we saw week 1, Cooper Kupp had 21 targets. He got hurt in week 2, and he was done for. And Puka Nacua, when he came back from injury, he was just dominated with targets. I think it's Isaiah Pacheco is probably another one where I was a little bit cautious going into last year. And now it feels like the reaction is way over here. And it's like, well, like they have Kareem Hunt and like nothing else, and he was bad last year. So Isaiah Pacheco, if I can get that ADP, I'm buying that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think mine, and I have been a little repetitive with him, but Ricky Pearsall is someone that I wasn't as high on. And I think this year, just seeing also where you're seeing Juwan Jennings go, especially in best ball, I can't find why I would take Juwan Jennings when I can just wait a couple of rounds and take Ricky Pearsall. You know what I mean? I think it makes a lot of sense. You are fantastic. Everyone, please go follow my friend Jeff at For Whom J Bell Tolls on X at 9 p.m. He is recording a show with Dave that you guys should also check out. I assume, does that come out tomorrow?
Yes, that'll be coming out tomorrow. So podcast format, and then it's the Football Guys Dynasty show. So in your podcast feed, in your YouTube feed, whatever you want to do there.
All right. You're fantastic. I'm sure I will talk to you a little bit later. Thanks for coming on. We'll get you on again very soon.
All right. Take care, Steph.
See ya.
See ya.
Think you know ball? Sounds very intimidating, but it's not. Then you have to enter Circa's football contest with 21 million in guaranteed prizes. There is no rake. So if entries go above the guarantee, all extra money will go to the prize pool. Circa million, you pick 5 teams against the spread each week or go for the ultimate sweat. And Circa Survivor, if you haven't done it, it's so much fun. Even though when you lose, you realize how much money you lost, I swear it's still fun unless it's week 1. There is even the Circa Grandissimo, a $100,000 Survivor contest. Maybe I will enter this year and we will follow that along on the show. I think we'll have to do it. You must register in person at a Circa Sportsbook in Nevada. Great excuse to book a trip to Las Vegas. You could book a trip contest weekend. Come hang out with the SGPN crew. Sign up in Nevada, play from anywhere with the help of SGPN's official proxy. Go to footballcontest.com and use promo code SGP to get $50 off your proxy fees. You've heard us talk about Rhythm before, and they just dropped a game-changing feature called Power Trends. These are AI detected patterns where Rhythm's model has consistently won and has a high ROI. Think a strikeout prop that wins 59% of the time when the line and win probability hit a certain range. I basically use this because like I'm not fucking watching baseball, but I'm going to use this to place my bets and make some cash. Power Trends are updated daily and exclusive to Rhythm. No touts, no noise, just clean data-backed bets. Download the Rhythm app, check out Power Trends, and start betting smarter. You know we will be. You also know I will be ignoring the fact that I'm supposed to plug a power trend. And I'm going to give you a short dog play for golf, sticking in golf anywhere we can for the John Deere Classic, which starts tomorrow. Another guy coming out of that winner's house that I have talked about over and over again to have a top 20 finish. He has a 51% win probability, projected to finish second in my model, which is very, very dramatic. I don't think he is doing that. Plus 160 for Mr. JT Poston. Get your 7-day free trial, sportsgamblingpodcast.com rhythm. And now Scott Reichel at Reichel Radio. He does all the things of this SGPN family. I could list it off 10. I mean, you do it all. So how's it going, my friend?
Good. How's it going with you?
It's going good. Didn't know I was doing a Jets preview today.
Neither did I.
That's what we will be previewing the New York Jets. How much fun is that?
I'm looking forward to it, I guess. I mean, I just finished an MLB show, and I get a message from McKee saying, by the way, change of plans. Can you do the Jets? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So here I am.
No idea. I was planning on only doing Dynasty. I'm like, all right, we'll do the Jets. So I took a look at the Jets. Here we go. We're going to talk Jets, everyone. Let's talk about them last year. Last time this team did not finish third or fourth in their division was 2015. I will allow you guys to do the math on that. Last season, they went 5-12. Their win total was 9.5. They had a 0-4 record in games decided by 3 or fewer points. Like, they had a lot of injuries. The last 3 years, they've been like a 5-7 win team. Feels like a lot of hype going in the last 3 years. Doesn't exactly pay off. They fired Saleh. Glenn came in. They parted ways with Rodgers. Like, there's not a lot to report about this team. Is there anything about 2024 that stands out to you for the New York Jets?
Mostly the noise and the headlines and how no matter how bad they were, people just kept talking about them. So I've enjoyed the offseason quite a bit. Is this team good? No. But you know what? It was quiet, and I actually appreciate that. Every now and then, I'll compare the 2024 season. You know that moment when your neighbors are doing construction at like 8 in the morning, and you're miserable, and then suddenly they stop, and you feel like you have some peace and quiet again? Yeah. That was this past offseason. I just got to relax. Out of sight, out of mind. They made some moves. I liked most of them, just mainly because of the fact they had to kind of scrap everything to rebuild it. But I liked their off season. Is it going to result in a lot of winning now? No. But I have less headaches, less need for aspirin, and we'll see where we go from here. So
I'm going to go off the rails a little bit here. You know what is just because it's 4th of July? You know what's so fucking annoying? One, like, I get the fireworks thing and enjoy them on 4th of July, but if you set off fireworks any day prior to 4th of July or after 4th of July, like, you are not a human being I want to be around ever.
So what about
last
birthday
night they were going off and my poor fucking dog is miserable. I'm miserable. It's unnecessary.
It is, but I'll ask, what about birthday celebrations? Do you make exceptions or is it only for July 4th?
I will make exceptions for like the occasional, like, oh, someone's doing fireworks, fun. But like if you're doing fireworks from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Like now you got to pick 2 days. You get 2 days on the week of 4th of July.
Okay, so there's a 2-day courtesy both before and after. Okay, cool.
Is that fair? I think
I can
that's
get behind that. Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. I don't know why. The Jets made me think of that. The annoying, like, firing off of fireworks. Okay, let's talk about the Jets win total. Back on track here. It's sitting at 5.5. Minus 150 to the over, plus 125 to the under. You know, like the Jets are going to jet. I kind of like, I'm not betting the over at minus 150, but that's probably the direction I think I lean here. But I really very much see them landing on the 6 win. Like I think they win 6 games. That's my take here.
I think that sounds about right, but the value's on the under at 5.5. I don't see any value on the over, as you said before. The Jets are going to jet, even if you're not sold to Miami, and even if you end up getting Tua getting hurt again. Shout out to Zach Wilson, new backup quarterback over there in Miami. They're still the worst team in the division. So based on that, your ceiling is automatically capped. People like New England this year. I'm not as high on New England as most people, but they're better than this team. The Bills are the Bills. They're a very good team in this division. Yeah. The Dolphins are fine. They'll be hovering around 500 the entire season. The Jets are the worst team in the division. So I do think the under is the way to go. I do think the under 5.5 at plus 135 is appealing. They made some moves. They got rid of Hackett. Thank God. They got a new offensive coordinator. They got a new head coach. I like Glenn. You're a defensive-minded head coach with no offensive talent. I get that Garrett Wilson's good. Breece Hall's solid, but he has not been really used properly for the last couple of years. I don't mind the foundation of what they're trying to build, but it's a multiple year project. Like, this is going to be a rough season for him. I'm not a Justin Fields guy. I don't know if you are. I'm not a fan of Justin Fields, so I'm not sold on the quarterback here, not sold on the actual offensive depth. The line's a question. The defense should be good, though. That counts for something, because Glenn's a good D coordinator. Now he's the head coach.
Yeah.
They'll be a very good in-game under team if you want to bet individual game unders with them. A lot of low-scoring games, try to win it in maybe a game landing in the 30s type of vibe. But I like the under for their wins. I don't see them being favored in many games, if any games this season, which should limit their upside in general. I see them going 5-12. That's kind of where I'm at.
I love it. I think that's fair. They're 5 or 6 wins. Like, I just don't think that's it. Like, that's all I'm giving this. I don't know. I think, and we're going to see that when we talk about some of these player markets that to me are absurd. Like, the books are a little bit too excited here about this team, especially given what they set their win total at. I don't normally look at week 1, but I think that they have a fun week 1 matchup here. Pitt is going to the Jets. It's going to be a fun little storyline here, little swap of some QB action going on. The Jets are 3-point underdogs at home. Why is that tempting to me? Like, why does that feel like a Jets cover, one of those week 1 games that people are not expecting? They're going to want to take Pitt easily.
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons. First of all, one would be the contrarian angle, because everyone's going to be on the Steelers in that game. Mm-hmm. Second of all, it's a classic Tomlin spot, where you're against an underwhelming team, and Tomlin tends to no-show a bunch of games against bad teams. So if you want to argue fading Pittsburgh away from their home field, trying to back the Jets, fading Tomlin in a pretty good, I'd say, buy low spot on the Jets, I can understand it. Would I bet the Jets? No. I don't really want to, but I understand where your head's at. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to work out well for Pittsburgh anyway. It's a separate show they're going to be doing about the Steelers, but I don't think either team should be that good. But Pittsburgh is better than the Jets, so I get the line.
I think the Jets will have some, I think they have some fantasy value, but the excitement around the Jets, it's like you guys are just walking into quicksand again. Like,
that's definitely true. To be fair, every player in theory can have fantasy value at one point or another. The first time I ever won my fantasy league, my quarterback was Blake Bortles. They were not a good team. That was the garbage time special team. So, yeah, I know all about having bad players in good spots, putting up fantasy numbers. So.
All right, let's talk about. I don't even know that we need to get in, to the division. Like, they're 18-1. We're not fucking betting that.
Not
I'm
happening.
sorry.
No.
Like, clip this and put me on whatever thing. If the Jets win, I will dye my hair blonde. Like, I just don't think that that's happening.
I like how out of all the colors to choose from, you chose blonde. Like, that was some extremely ballsy move by you. You didn't say pink. You didn't say anything. Just blonde. Like, that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah,
blonde.
It sounds fucking horrible, actually. The Patriots are, what are they? I mean, the Bills are minus 260. Pats are plus 475. Miami's plus 650. Like, do any of those entice you other than the Bills?
Honestly, no. Yeah. I feel like I'm, once again, lower on New England than most people. I get they made some moves with the coaching staff. They still have Drake May, who had a very solid rookie season. Am I missing something with the hype train on New England? Because I think they're fine, but 9.5 wins in the AFC, there are a lot of pretty good wild card quality teams in the AFC. 10 wins, I don't see them being a 10-7 win team. I feel like you're giving Vrabel a ton of, I'd say, credit and a ton of just overall, I'd say, extra expectations based on what he did with the Titans over the years. I see New England being like an 8-9 team or a 9-8 team, but 10 wins, that feels pretty high to me. I think Buffalo might win 13 games anyway, so I don't think it's going to matter. But am I wrong about New England? I feel like people are hyping this team up, and I don't really see it as much as other people do.
No, I mean, some books are already adjusting, and that's that line has moved to 8.5, as it should, because that feels crazy. I've been saying this on some shows too. A lot of times teams like the New England Patriots, if they have not been good. Like, they were not a good football team. If they win 7 games, that should be exceeding expectations. Like, that's a good direction. That's a step in the right direction. So I think this, like, getting extremely hyped for them to make some playoff run, they're like plus 135 to make the playoffs. Like, can we calm down and let this team develop? Like, they have a lot of new pieces, a lot of young guys, new coach. Like, I think it's okay if this team only wins 8 games, 7 games, and you see them improve and look like a functional football team. Like, can that just be the expectation?
It could be. I'm saying that I don't know how many wins you think Vrabel is worth compared to the previous coach, but you're pricing him like he's worth 5 or 6 wins, and I just don't see that being the case for Vrabel here. You can make the argument that New England might be worse than Miami. I'm not the biggest Miami fan, but I do think Miami, based on what they've done the last couple of years, should be viewed a bit more highly than New England. It feels like Vrabel's getting this expectation he's going to suddenly boost this team by about 4 or 5 wins.
Yeah.
I just don't see that. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be a better team than they were last year. But 9-10 wins feels excessive. You always hear about the sophomore slump for quarterbacks. You always see it looking like a situation where the young guy can blossom and have a star power season. I think they had a great season, but I do think New England spending a bunch of money in the offseason as well isn't guaranteed to suddenly turn this team into a playoff contender, as Alec mentions in the comments section. I'm lower on New England. I think that once again, Vrabel might need a year to adjust. We'll see what happens, but I like the moves they made in general. Will it immediately translate to success in year 1? I'm skeptical of that. Maybe year 2, but not year 1.
And is their offensive depth chart that exciting? Like, is it as exciting as people are acting, I guess?
Are we going to dive into the Jets' offensive depth chart? Because that's a pretty fun segue if you want to go back to the Jets.
Yeah, so let's go back to the Jets, because I could talk about the Pats all day. Yeah, we can't talk about the Jets. I
was being sarcastic, by the way. It's really not a great depth chart on paper besides Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson.
It's not. That's basically that is why. So. That is why I cannot. If Mason Taylor stinks, fine, but I think Mason Taylor has a path to have some fantasy value this year.
Are you going to draft him in regular leagues, or is that a dynasty league pick?
I mean, definitely dynasty, but he will be a waiver wire darling, I think.
I'm not against him. I do think that, once again, he has good overall, I'd say, genes with his family. So hopefully that carries over into, once again, being the potential starting tight end here for the Jets. But the offensive line, I think it's fine. I mean, AVT is very good when healthy. Keywords when healthy, so that doesn't really matter too much.
They don't know how to do that with their offensive line.
That's the problem, yeah. Tittman's okay as a center. You have Fashanu, who is still young. We'll see how he does too. But this receiving core is an absolute catastrophe outside of Garrett Wilson.
And then if Garrett Wilson goes down, then what?
Correct. But you're looking at Lazard, who I don't think anybody likes. You have Josh Reynolds, who's been mainly a depth receiver for his entire career. Tyler Johnson from the Rams, sure.
What?
You got Corley, like Arian Smith. Like, what do you have here? You don't have
anything. What is going on?
It's a wasteland at receiver. So I can't really make a case for the Jets to threaten much offensively. The question is, when you bring in the passing game coordinator, basically, for the Lions, they did love to run the ball last year. They had multiple running backs. They could use Montgomery. They could use Gibbs. Will he try to tap into that and try to start a ground game first approach, which would support props on Breece Hall, maybe Justin Fields if you want to use him as a mobile quarterback too. I think Fields will start every game, by the way, barring injury. Team's going to suck anyway. You paid him a bunch of money. I don't see them scrapping him halfway through the season. I think he will in every game of the season. So if you want to go for some rushing yard props, maybe if he's going to run for his life, that could be an option. It might be a decent fantasy season for Breece Hall, solely based on trying to apply a run-first mentality for this team. Will it work? I didn't say that, but the volume might be there for Breece Hall. But I don't trust any of these receivers, besides Garrett Wilson, to do anything over the course of this season. So based on that, I'm pretty low on Justin Fields. I'm low on the other options at receiver besides, of course, the only guy worth a damn in the receiving core. You could argue Taylor, if they're going to be using him as a starting tight end. That could be a decent security blanket. But besides that, I don't see much that really jumps off the page in terms of a wow factor. And that's why I like the under for a lot of their games. And they'll be a defensive-minded team with Glenn as the coach. He'll fix up part of the defense. The offense, though, is a mess on paper. And I feel like there's only one way they can win games.
Yeah.
And that's rock fights in cold weather.
Yeah.
So
looking at, so you brought up, Justin Fields' rushing yards. It's sitting at 650 and a half. He's gone over this twice in his career, his last 2 years in Chicago. He flew over it, I think year 2, or his final year in Chicago was like 1,100 plus rushing yards. I think I would take the flyer on it at minus 110 on the over there for him to go over this, because he can get this multiple ways. One of those ways can be running for his life, which we've seen him do before. So I don't mind the over there if anyone is inclined to take it.
I agree with you. I think that Field, since I am picking him to play every game this season, or worst case scenario, 15 games or so, I do think he's going to have to use his legs because, one, I don't think he's a great passer. I think that's a serious flaw in his game. The only reason why you bring him in with that contract is clearly to try using him as a mobile threat as well. He's not a pocket passer. So you have to try to use a skill set by letting him run a little bit. I do think he can be getting some design runs per game. You might need to break a couple, which we know he can do. He's very explosive, as we all know. He can find openings in defenses, break some 60-yard runs. I like the over on that. If you're looking at, what was the number you said again? It was
650 and a half.
650 and a half. If you want to divide that by, we'll do 650 divided by 17. He needs to average roughly 38, 39 rushing yards per game. That's very reasonable. I don't mind the over on that.
And he might be one where you look to take his over like each game for a little bit before Vegas starts setting that line appropriately, because we've seen that happen with some of these rushing quarterbacks before they get smart. I will tell you one of his one of his lines I will be taking the under is, why the fuck did they set his passing touchdowns line at 22 and a half? That's crazy.
I said they're a run-first team anyway. They're going to have to be. They have no receivers worth a damn besides one guy. I think he's a bad quarterback. It's why I'm also low on this team. As a Jets fan, I'm not happy with the Justin Fields experiment. I get the vision. I get the random highlight posts on Twitter when teams try to hype him up.
You're going to have fun.
Yeah, you get a bunch of posts about him, how he breaks away from like 5 defenders while ignoring a wide-open guy 20 yards downfield. I understand that there are some entertaining aspects to his game. He's really not a great processor of the field, which is pretty important when you're a quarterback. His read progression is, let's say, below average, and that's why he scrambles a lot, because he doesn't exactly anticipate well when looking through his reads. So based on that, I see interceptions being there. I see some garbage time yards being there. For touchdowns, I see a lot of vulturing, either from Fields as a runner or from Breece Hall. So I don't maybe mind the rushing touchdowns for Fields, or if you want to go for the Hall rushing touchdowns, maybe.
Yeah.
Passing touchdowns, though, I cannot pick him to average more than 1 passing touchdown per game. I can't do that. It's the under or pass.
I'm laughing because I forgot you're a Jets fan and you're being so
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. McKee didn't ask me randomly, do you want to do the Jets? Like, no, I'm here because I am the Jets fan of SGPN. So,
oh my God, that is so funny. Okay, yeah, I think I'm taking the under for sure in his passing touchdowns. The most he's ever thrown for is 17. Like, I'm so fucking good on him with Garrett Wilson. Like, I'm good. Like, I just don't. No, thank you. I'm gonna.
If you want the touchdowns for Fields passing, just take the Garrett Wilson receiving touchdowns instead. Because how is he going to go over if Wilson doesn't?
Which, speaking of, it's 4.5.
Yeah. Once again, he's supposed to get roughly 18 passing touchdowns, not to Garrett Wilson. I don't see that happening. I would go with Wilson or basically pass. I like the 4.5, though. He'll get targets in the red zone. So I'll go with that over, if anything.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But I think Fields, once again, injuries could play a factor as well with the injuries he's had in the past. The fact that he runs, doesn't really protect himself that well. That can be an issue, too. Under on his passing touchdowns, I like the over on Wilson. I do want to ask you, though, being the negative Jets fan here, what am I supposed to say? Like, this team's win total is like 5.5. What do you want from me? Like, this team's
That's fun.
I
hope if the Giants win 5 games next year, I'm throwing a party.
But you see people that are like diehard fans going, oh no, they got potential this year. What are you talking about? This team's awful.
Can we all be fucking for real?
Yeah, what are we talking about?
They're plus 475 to make the playoffs, guys.
That feels a bit short, to be honest, at 475. That feels pretty short. I would have had that at like 6 or 7 to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, if the Jets are an entertaining watch, I'll be happy because there were a lot of really close games, really bad choke jobs down the stretch. and you also had Hackett play calling.
Little backdoor cover action by the Jets this year.
That, or potentially not choking away games on the final drive in the final 2 minutes of all these games. But as long as this team's watchable, I'll be happy. Am I picking them to be a contender for a playoff spot? Absolutely not. But if they are competitive and there's a sense of a culture growing, I haven't seen a culture since Rex Ryan was here. If they build any culture at all, I'll be fine with it. This is definitely the first year of a multiple-year growth process. I'm accepting it. It's like a rebuilding year in college where you have one team that is supposed to have expectations. They go 6-6. You go, what is happening? And next year they hope they go 9-4. Same idea with the Jets. If they end up going 5-12 and they go 8-9 next year or 9-8, I'll be happy. So I'm going to be realistic. I'm a realistic fan. Hopefully they're watchable. That's the floor of my expectations. If they're watchable, I'll be happy.
You know what's crazy is I feel like you could clip, like I've said that a bunch of times, like it's so sad. This is how dark MetLife has got. We just want watchable games. That is so sad.
And less
like
injuries.
You're not asking for a lot. Just let me watch games without turning it off. Please, God.
Yeah, basically for the next year or so, MetLife will be known as a soccer stadium because nobody wants to talk about football with those two teams. So keep that in mind. But look, all I know is for the Jets, once again, this is a complete franchise of sadness. They operate in ways that franchises should not operate in. Woody Johnson is an atrocious owner. He's one of the worst owners in the entire, I'd say, major sports. Not football, sports, if you extrapolate it to all the other sports. My expectations are low because I've been conditioned to keep my expectations low. So I've seen nothing to change that. It sounds depressing. Am I wrong? No. Longest playoff drought in the entire league. They haven't made the playoffs in double-digit years at this point. I'm used to it. So this is par for the course. But as long as this team shows signs of building a culture, signs of actually trying to establish something I could be proud of, that's good enough for me. I can live with that.
Okay. Good luck.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're in the same boat with me at this point.
Yeah, I am.
You won a couple rings in there, which separates our franchises. But besides the rings, I know it's kind of tough to ignore those titles. Both franchises that we support have been absolute rock bottom for basically a decade.
Yeah.
Basically, we're in the same boat right now. So, yeah. We're kind of on the same page.
I think my boat is a little more exciting than yours right now, though.
Is it?
I don't know.
You have neighbors? I mean, that counts for something. Who's your quarterback?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think Russell Wilson's more exciting than Justin Fields?
No, I think what's exciting is like Dart. At least we have some rookie to like maybe get excited about. And like, I don't need to think about him, but I can keep telling myself, oh, there's a rookie on the bench. There's a rookie on the bench. And I have elite neighbors. You have Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, but I have the illusion of Arch Manning down the road.
You're not getting Arch.
Right? No, I can't. If my team bottoms out and it goes like 3-14, I can't get Arch. No, that's not a possibility. But I mean, I'll ask you though.
Are going to get Arch.
I'm not going to turn this into an actual Giants pod now, but I feel like we're both looking down the barrel of last place in our division.
I already know what it is. I know my fate, and I know like exciting. And then week 2, it's shut this shit off, put it on the small screen, and let's roll to the draft. And I'll already be watching rookie prospects.
I think we're both in this upcoming season solely for the vibes. If we have some fun along the way, it's fine. If the team stinks, I'll watch Red Zone. It's not a big deal. I'll find, ways to survive. But both our teams are not looking good. I don't know what you said about your team. I see some people calling you out, saying you might think this team could get to 7 wins. The Giants aren't getting to 7 wins.
The ceiling possibility of like, if the defense plays to their full potential and they just follow that with like any form of a touchdown or something, yes, I could see them pulling off 7. That's the best case scenario that I could come up with.
I think our teams are going neck and neck, by the way.
7 on the show.
I think our teams are going neck and neck. 1st to 5 wins. I think we're going at it for the entire season. I think we're going to have a war at this one. But I do want to point out, though, that I think Dart could be okay. I didn't like him a lot at Ole Miss. I recognize the upside, but I know you've mentioned many times before you are not too happy. But then you went to the film.
I'm fine now.
You've been coping a lot. You've been coping, but still.
Yeah.
I don't know if Dart's going to play this season. So you're looking at what could be a potential starter down the road. If Dart doesn't play, I would not be surprised if they let him sit for a year. You end up trying to let some combination of Wilson and Winston get the starts, and you let Dart learn for a year. That could be a possibility too. So Dart could be okay. But if he didn't take a snap this entire season, I would not be surprised because it was a very weak quarterback class, and I think most people acknowledge Dart was not that great down the stretch of the season in his last year at Ole Miss. I think he might not play the entire season.
My theory, and then I'm bringing it back to the Jets because that's fine.
That's fine.
I talk about the Giants is so dumb, but I think my conspiracy theory is that Dable is going to use him to keep his job. He's going to come in. We have a week 15 bye. You're going to see him at home versus the Commanders. Come out for his first game. They're going to win. It's going to be a little small sample size, but just enough of a taste where, teams don't have a lot of film on him. Maybe he pulls off 2 wins. They might be the only 2 wins that the Giants get. And then that's it. And Dable's job is saved, and that's the way it rolls.
So your prediction is Dable saves his job by winning a random game late season to sabotage the
he's
draft
gonna be like, look,
pick.
I drafted this guy.
But the argument is you're hoping
John Mara is stupid.
You're hoping for the Drew Lock 300-yard passing game against the Colts to sabotage your tank again. That's what you're hoping for.
Yes, but this is what they do. Okay. They are stupid. Right. It is a stupid franchise. All right, back to Garrett Wilson before I talk about the Giants nonstop. He's definitely the darling this year. We both like the over 4.5 receiving touchdowns. Are you touching his receiving yards? It's 925.5. This motherfucker is very consistent with his yards. I think I would flirt with taking an alt line at 1,000 plus. I mean, you look at what he's done. It basically 1,100 every single year. Like 2 of the years, he's only off by 1 yard. Like he is very consistent. So I'm cool with the receiving touchdowns. I think I'd rather just take an alt here than take the 925. But where are you at?
Yeah, I like the over. I think garbage time is your friend in this case. If the Jets are trailing by a ton a lot early, you get a lot of garbage time usage there, which should be fun. I think he's going to have a solid year, mainly because of the lack of other options. You could argue that might cause teams to game plan him out of the actual strategy. But when the Jets are down 3 touchdowns in the third quarter, it doesn't really matter. So I think you're looking at Wilson, who might get some garbage time usage there. Maybe a good live player prop option in games. Does nothing first half. Jets are trailing. You live bet the over.
I like that.
He ends up with 50 yards in the fourth quarter, and you go over. So I can see that being an option as well. If you wanted to, we can talk about golf instead if it makes you feel any better. We have 2 depressing teams. You want to switch topics?
We can switch.
It's up to you. It's your show. You can talk about whatever you want.
I don't know. It is depressing. I'm going to give you like 3 more questions. And then if you do you have golf picks? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that if you wanted to talk through your golf process, we could do that too. I've been actually trying to get more into golf. However, I know the bare bones approach, so I'm picking 1 golfer per tournament to make the cut. That's all I'm doing. Bet.
That's what you're starting with?
That's my starting point. I'm 2-0. So we got to start somewhere. Shout out to Hadwin, who ended up cashing last week for me.
Hadwin's fun. If you don't follow his wife on Twitter, she's the homie.
That's the problem that Hadwin runs into is that he gets less press than his wife. So he flies under the radar on social media. But he cashed for me, so I appreciate him. -110.
Okay. Who did you pick this week then?
I haven't decided yet. I got to deep dive it. I'll get back to you on that though.
Okay, I want to know. You have to let me know because we're close. We gotta decide.
I had Harris English for the US Open, who was +7 and somehow made it, and then shot like a +10 in the last 2 days.
It's very stressful, that man.
Very. But I'm 2-0, so we're gonna try to keep it rolling.
Okay. Take a look. I'm trying to think of guys to give you take a look at. Take a look at like McCarty. Who else do I like this week? Stay the fuck away from Nick Dunlap. Whatever you do, he stinks at golf, okay?
Okay. I'll remember that.
He was a darling. He won like random tournament, and then he just stinks. Every week he stinks. Stay the hell away from him. All right, give me your final record prediction for the Jets.
My final record prediction is going to be a smooth 5-12.
Okay.
I think they'll go under the win total. I think they'll be a top 5 pick. I do think New Orleans might bottom out entirely. We'll see how many really bad teams are out there. There are a couple. Cleveland right now is the lowest odds to actually have the worst record. I don't actually see that. I think Cleveland will be bad. I don't see them being god awful. I think the Jets could finish worse than Cleveland.
Do you know who my sleeper is for that?
For worst record?
Titans.
Okay.
I think
I don't know if
that
that's a
people are
sleeper. The team
really
sucks, but
overestimating what this team is going to do because of Cam Ward, because of Jaden Daniels. And I love that everyone is very excited. That offensive depth chart
they're
is
terrible.
not cute. Like, there
Yeah.
is nothing that gets me going about the Titans offense, to be honest with you, other than Cam Ward.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the Titans would be a short list for me if you want to stay with the Jaguars, because you say the Jets are going to Jets. The Jaguars are going to Jaguar. So they can potentially
People
finish
are
there
high on
too.
them.
Yeah, for some reason. We do this every year. Every
Yeah,
year,
we
because
do
it's a
too.
terrible division, and you try to make a case for the long short candidate who can find a way to win.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you're backing Anthony Richardson. You never want to back Anthony Richardson with the Colts. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, every
Yeah.
team is flawed there. The Texans are the best of all four of those teams. So if you want to go for the Titans, I don't hate that angle too. The Jets, though, I see them finishing bottom 5, not bottom 2. I'll go 5-12.
Yeah. I think their defense is going to be too good, but yeah, the Titans, like, I'm just being cautious about what the fuck people are thinking about, because you're not, like, we're not getting a playoff for the way people think they're going to the playoffs. Because it's like, are you evaluating Jaden Daniels, or are you evaluating this team that we are looking at?
Can I pitch to you a fun bet though on the Titans?
Yes.
Do you think Cam Ward gets benched at any point during the season, or do you think they just let him figure it out?
Who's behind him? Will Levis?
Well, that's my point. Well, my point is, if you think Ward does not get benched, can I pitch you most interceptions?
You can pitch me that.
Because I am quite intrigued by that.
I am intrigued. What's the number on that?
I have to pull that up, but
That's an interesting number. I didn't see those. Okay, we got to do most interceptions on Monday. I don't think that I didn't see those lines drop yet.
It might be a full trial by fire. They say, listen, we're going to be bad. We know we're going to be bad. Here's 17 games, figure it out, and we'll see if you do better with the reps. But this team's going to stink. We saw Levis throw a bunch of picks, also because he has no football IQ at all. But Ward threw a bunch of really bad picks in Miami. Off his back foot, a lot of really dangerous throws. That could go off the deep end quite quickly. I don't mind Ward to lead the league in picks.
Oh, the YouTube shorts are gonna fucking eat this one up, producer Ryan.
I think there's a case
gonna
for
go
it.
at us. They have been so angry with me lately with some of the takes.
Which, like what? Can you give me an example?
What were they mad at? Oh, I said JJ McCarthy wasn't easy to root for.
I don't really care much about him, to be honest.
He's
they
just
were
like,
good with Darnold.
I don't buy his whole like meditation bullshit. It's just not, that's just not my thing.
Yeah, you're talking to the Jets fan who dealt with a darkness retreat for about 3 days. I don't believe in the meditation stuff either for this case. But look, I think McCarthy, I was not a big fan of him in Michigan. I thought he had a great team around him. Pure game manager, won a title. It's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Decent in preseason. But if Darnold can do that we saw last year, I think he can definitely hold his own in this offense.
No, I think he's going to do, like, I am high on the Vikings next year. I think they're going to be very good.
I don't see him being this, oh my God, what a monster quarterback. Right. I don't see him sabotaging your team.
He's going to be good. I just don't think he's likable. I don't think he's easy to root for, though. Those are two different things. Could he be
a semi-Brock Purdy on a good roster? Sure. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
But he looks like Peter Pan, and he, like, meditates in the middle of the field. Like, it's just not my thing.
Are you not a fan of the meditating or the Peter Pan?
I don't know. I think it's him. Like, there's something about him that's so it's like, I don't know. It's not even dorky. It just irritates me.
So you just have an issue with football nerds, basically. That's the issue.
I don't know what I have an issue with. Okay. I don't even know why. And I don't even have that big of an issue with him. People are just so dramatic and they take everything I say so literally. Huh. I don't know. It's the rest of these questions, these exit questions I've been giving everyone are like way too fucking depressing to ask.
You can talk about what you can give me any exit question you want, any topic.
I can't. No, I'm going to skip over them because it's like who to draft in fantasy.
I'm saying you could toss those out and ask me your own personalized exit questions if you want to.
I can't. This is like the Jets are depressing.
Yes,
like,
100%.
Who's like the 2025 breakout candidate for the Jets?
For the Jets, Aaron Glenn.
Okay, that's good. There you go. Who's the guy to keep your eye on this season?
You mentioned him, Taylor.
Okay, love it. Oh, everyone hear that, chat? See, I'm not saying it for no reason.
I gotta pick somebody. Look, yeah. I mentioned the receiving core. Taylor was nasty at LSU. Guy's good.
I'm excited about him.
Yeah,
I have a good feeling. Okay, what's your Super Bowl prediction?
Not the Jets. Next question.
Yeah, I know. What the fuck is it?
So for the Super Bowl, do I pick anybody besides Kansas City to make it out of the AFC?
Sure.
Because they make it every damn year, but I don't know how much this core has left in the tank, to be honest. They tried to change some stuff around, but I got to pick against Mahomes. That sucks. Screw it. Give me Buffalo against... Who do I want to go with for the NFC? Not the Eagles. Not the Eagles.
I think the NFC is actually harder.
NFC is very difficult for me.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll go long shot for no reason at all. Give me the Rams.
I like it.
Give me Bills Rams.
I do like it. I think there is like a window here that's still open for the Rams.
Yeah. I see Trevor mentioning the Ravens. Maybe. I trust Josh Allen more in playoff games than Lamar Jackson. So I'll go Josh Allen there, but there we go. The Ravens are also tricky, though, because even though they should win that division, the Bills will win their division.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens division is very tough. If you're high on the Bengals, if you actually think that the Steelers will be fine, there is a world where the Ravens maybe end up as a wild card team. Will they be a wild card team? Probably not. But if I ask you which team's more likely to win their division, I would say Buffalo, which means you're probably getting a home game in Buffalo in the middle of either January or February.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt Baltimore's case. I'll go with Baltimore if they had home field. I don't see them having home field. Give me Buffalo right on the home field with that crappy division to the Super Bowl.
I like it. What's a sleeper team for next year?
A sleeper team? Well, I said the Rams are going to make the Super Bowl, so does that count?
Yeah, that can count. Give me an overrated team. It doesn't have to be for the Super Bowl. Just like an overrated team in general that you're not, besides the Pats, because I know you're
I was going to say the Pats are definitely the case I would make here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are the Cowboys overrated? I don't know if people are even high on them anymore.
I think people are pretty low on them.
The thing is, the Eagles should be in contention for that division anyway. I'll go Eagles. Okay. Look, we talk about this every year, the power drain after you win a ring. They lost a lot of key pieces. A lot of guys got paid. You have to rebuild a lot of the infrastructure that helped you win a title last season. I think Philly will make the playoffs, but I think people are expecting 12, 13 wins. I don't see that. I think Philly could potentially be a wild card team. So I don't see them bottoming out, but I think people are very high on Philly, ignoring all the roster turnover they had over the last few months.
And that Saquon simply is not going to have the same season.
Assuming he stays healthy, of course.
Yeah, exactly. What's the last features?
Did that hurt, by the way, or were you happy when he won a ring?
I don't care. Like, I have his Penn State jersey behind. I don't care the way that people get so emotional about this stuff. Like, I knew he was going to be good when he had a good O-line. He didn't have a good O-line. I don't think my number one rule, maybe it's not number one, like number 17 rule, if you're a fucking shitty team, do not pay a running back, period. That's just dumb. That's just not, I just don't think you should do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that's the argument that you can make for a bunch of bad teams. Why would you let him go? Did you see how good Barkley looks? You mean behind an actual offensive line with good talent around him?
Right. It's so easy to say that. That's so amazing for everyone. Yeah, no fucking shit. They had the best O-line. Like, yeah, of course he looks good.
So,
of course.
There you go.
What's the last NFL future you placed before I let you get out of here?
The last NFL future that I placed, actually, while we were talking about the Jets on the show, I did end up placing something on the Garrett Wilson 4.5 receiving touchdowns.
There you go. Absolutely love it. I think my last one, I haven't placed any in a while. I think I bet Bijan to lead the league in rushing. I think that's the last one I placed. I don't think I have anything else that I did, but I am going to jump off and place that over 4.5. Let people know where they can find you. We're going to get out of here. Like, subscribe. Leave in the comments what your most recent NFL feature is. Don't be shy. Let me know. Please get those ratings up too. I was supposed to do that ad read. I didn't do it in the beginning. So please go rate and review the show. Let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Reichel Radio, as it's written there in the corner, right down here. You can find me on SGPN, doing a bunch of podcasts, MLB show, NBA show, WNBA show. These are tennis balls, by the way, for the Tennis Gambling Podcast. Saw a question before. These are tennis balls for the Tennis Gambling Podcast. Wimbledon going on. So I'm busy breaking down the matches there. Bunch of podcasts, all free. So if you want my free picks, check out the podcast.
The balls in question have been determined as tennis balls. We will get out of here. I will be back, I guess tomorrow for a Love Island episode. Finally, we've been trying and keep rescheduling. So go like that, subscribe so you guys can come listen to me and Terrell give you some betting on Love Island, and I will be back on Monday after that. See you guys.